It matters. Thanks for being here. In this moment, we desperately need to come together and find our courage. And we have to ignite this courage in others. That's what we do when we come together like this. When people see us standing up, they have the courage to stand up. We find our bravery, and as others see us, they find their bravery. They do a little bit more. They say a little bit more. They see a little bit more light when before they only saw darkness and despair. And I know from speaking with Vermonters, but also I have the opportunity as a member of Congress of speaking to Americans across this country. And I can tell you, people are tired. People are overwhelmed. They're fearful and many feel powerless. I get it. I really, really do. So many people have said to me, Becca, I'm so glad you're in Congress representing us, so now I don't have to pay attention to the news. No! Now, although I am flattered by their confidence in me, my fierceness and my fight should not be seen as a permission slip to check out. I am only one tiny but mighty woman. And many of you may know I refer to myself as that scrappy little dyke. That is my way to remind myself of my strength and the power of my voice. And we all have that energy inside of us, and we have to use it. So, my message is, you gotta check back in. You have to check back in. Not all day long. I'm not asking about doom scrolling, okay? I'm not talking about working yourselves into a panic. That is just gonna paralyze us all. And when we paralyze ourselves, we don't act. And we know, and others have said it, this is what authoritarians are counting on. Autocrats and dictators create an environment that causes us to feel overwhelmed. It is a calculated strategy. We've seen it the world over, and it works. That's why it's important for you to be out here today. And it's fantastic Vermont Day. We have to show resistance. Now, I don't have to tell you, things are pretty bleak in D.C. right now. We have a president who has shown his pettiness and his vindictiveness from the moment that he was sworn in. We have seen his executive orders to violate federal law and the Constitution. He demands public bootlicking from everyone around him. We have a cabinet of yes men and yes women, many of them who are wholly unqualified for the jobs that they have. The only requirement right now seems to be that you will publicly hero worship the president. And of course, we have Elon Musk. A man who understands nothing about government or the federal programs that millions of Americans rely on. He is acting like a little boy having a tantrum. And it has become so clear he has no idea what he's doing. The incompetence is there for all to see. Firing people who protect us from Ebola and the bird flu. Traffic controllers fired while we literally have planes falling out of the sky. And letting people go who protect our nuclear arsenal. This is not someone that we should fear. He doesn't know what he's doing. Except for one thing. He knows how to take care of himself. He's one big grifter. He's looking out for his businesses. He's looking out for his interests every single day. You have to follow the money. Who's he looking out for and who's he kicking in the teeth? That's so ugly to watch. It even gets more ugly when you watch my Republican colleagues say nothing and do nothing. Or worse, defending the incompetence and the cruelty and the gimmicks. And I know it can be depressing and it enrages me in moments. So, how do we stay focused? How do we stay energized? We focus on three things, and that's what I want to talk about today. Three things. We legislate, we litigate, and we agitate. So, we must do, as members of Congress, everything that we can to pass laws that protect Americans from the worst impulses of this administration. And I'll just tell you one thing that I'm very proud of in the last week. I will be reintroducing the Stop ComStat Act along with my colleague Tia Smith in the Senate. So, for those of you who don't know about the ComStat Act, the ComStat laws date back to the 1800s. And yes, boo! And they were passed to try to prevent anything deemed as obscene from being mailed, okay? And the federal courts have said repeatedly, this does not apply to things like mailing materials related to abortion. But Republicans are going to try to use these laws to make it impossible for women in this country to get the health care that they need, regardless of where they live. So, I'm going to continue to fight through legislation. And that's why I'm leading the fight on that bill. So we have to legislate. And we have to litigate. And the good news, and like Sherry talked about, the good news is that the Trump administration is having laws after laws after laws at the federal level. And even judges that were appointed by George W. Bush and H.W. Bush and Ronald Reagan, even these judges are saying to Trump, you are wrong, and we are standing with the people of the United States of America. So, we legislate, we litigate, and of course, we agitate. So, and we have to activate our friends and neighbors, those who aren't out here. We have to reach out to people right now who aren't feeling very engaged, and we have to invite them in. We have to invite them in their own way. Not everyone's going to rally. Not everybody is going to take to the streets, and that's okay. But we need to ask people to check back in and to not give up or give in to despair. One way to not give in to despair is to focus on the one thing, the one issue that is most important to you. You can't do it all. You can't. Even I in Congress, I can't follow every ridiculous thing that gets put out by this administration or every cruel executive order. So I have to rely on my team and I have to rely on my other colleagues in Congress and trust that although I am following these things, they are following those things. And together, we will get the work done. So figure out, what is it? What is it that lights you up? Is it voting rights? Is it reproductive rights? Is it making sure that veterans have the health care that they need? Figure out what's the thing that lights you up and then educate yourself. Knowledge is power. Speaking as a teacher, knowledge is power. Figure out what that thing is that you want to pour your heart and soul into. And please, you have to become an expert on that issue and then share it with friends and family and other Vermonters to get the word out about what the truth is. Because no matter what this administration says, there is something still called the truth. And we are here to defend it. So, this is important. Despite your fear and your anxiety and your rage, know that what you do is going to make a difference. You do what you can when you can, and then you regroup. And please, do not expect perfection from yourself or anyone else. This movement does not require perfection, okay? Give each other some grace and some latitude. We are not going to do things perfectly. We are not going to say the exact right words. We are not going to do things exactly right every time. It's not possible. But we need all hands on deck. Keep the main thing, and that is fighting this administration. So, we have to build strong and broad coalitions. And in those coalitions, we're not all going to share the same vocabulary or the same background or the same identities or the same experiences. That's right. The diversity does make us stronger. So we do not need perfection, but what we do need is curiosity and a generosity of spirit and the humility to accept that sometimes we will be wrong and we will regroup and we will try something else. That's the kind of leadership we need in this moment. And that's the kind of leadership I'm working on. And I know that speaking out and sticking your neck out is risky, which is why so many of my Republican colleagues are not doing it right now, because it's risky. So I will tell you, some of them are cowards. That is true. Some of them are grifters. That is true. Some of them are only in it for power's sake. But I will tell you, the people who ran for office to serve their constituents like I did, who are not speaking up in this moment, is because they're terrified. I talk to them when the cameras aren't rolling. They have created a movement that they are terrified of. I'm not excusing it. I'm just explaining. That's where we are. So in this moment, we need to invite everyone of conscience to come back in and come back to their senses and stand with democracy. So finally, as I leave today, I want to leave you with this. After you leave here today, after you put down the sign, after you figure out what's your one thing you're going to focus on, I want you to ask this question of yourself and your family and your friends around you. When was the last time you were brave? Okay? I'm not talking about rescuing a kid from a burning building, though. Of course, I welcome that. That certainly is brave, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having hard conversations with your neighbors. I'm talking about bringing up a hard topic and then staying, even if the person doesn't agree with you. Stay in that conversation. Speaking truth to power. I know it's scary. Confronting someone who seems to be filled with contempt. That is scary. So, I ask this question whenever I meet somebody new in Washington, D.C. Tell me the last time you were brave, and I do it for two reasons. One, because it reminds people that actually they're more brave than they know. We are more courageous than we know. The second reason is sometimes they reflect and they realize, you know what? I'm not being brave. I'm not being courageous, and I need to work those muscles. So today, find your courage, find your voice. Know that when you are doing that, I'm going to be down there in D.C. doing that same thing, trying to find my courage every day, showing up for the fight. I am fierce and I am focused. This is a time for great courage, and we can do this as long as we stick together. Let's go!